Welcome to SCO BRICS Insight, where we look at what's really going on in the world of the BRICS. Today, I want to talk about Denmark, who, along with other countries with access to the Baltic Sea, are considering imposing sanctions against the so-called shadow fleet of Russian tankers that are transporting its oil to world markets. According to one version, Denmark wants to block these tankers passing through its territorial waters. So what restrictions can be adopted, and what will be the consequences not only for Russia but also for the United States and the entire world oil market? After all, do these idiots know that any restrictions of oil into the world market is critical and could cause serious price spikes? Any disruptions to the oil market always means a spike in prices, and supply problems is the last thing Joe Biden needs in an election season. For him, any increase in gas prices will kill his election chances. To these Danish idiots who tried to hold up the certification of the Nord Stream pipeline back in the day ever live in the real world? Anyway, the Danish authorities, I understand, are considering options to restrict the passage of old oil tankers transporting Russian oil through the Baltic Sea. Now, the Russia-phobic former Baltic states of Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania are also involved in potential measures against the so-called shadow fleet of aging vessels that are transporting Russian oil. That's according to a statement from the Danish Foreign Minister Lars Rasmussen, as he reported to Reuters. The specific measures under consideration and their potential impact remain unclear. However, the Financial Times previously reported, citing 3 individuals familiar with the negotiations in Brussels, Denmark, under the new EU plans, would check out and probably block tankers carrying Russian oil passing through its territorial waters. At the same time, Rasmussen said that any new measures must be legally justified from the point of view of international law. However, doing this is an extremely difficult thing to actually do and carry out. Denmark has to understand that plans to block the passage of tankers with Russian oil in the Danish Straits violates international law. And according to the Russian ambassador to Denmark, Vladimir Barbat, it ain't happening. The Russian Foreign Ministry spokesman, Maria Zakharova, also noted that the agreements would violate all international norms, trying to stop and inspect tankers from Russia. It's certainly going to be challenging for Denmark to come up with a way that doesn't violate international law. The blocking of civilian shipping in the Baltic Straits is not actually a simple option. Should Denmark attempt to impede the passage of Russian tankers, it's going to get a serious response from Russia. According to Igor Yushkov, who's a professor at the Russian Financial University, doing so would be considered a serious escalation of the current conflict that they have with Europe. And Russia might actually start escorting its tankers with warships. And how would a naval minnow like Denmark deal with that? Alternatively, Denmark could introduce sanctions that prohibit Europeans from providing services to ships sailing in the Baltic Sea. These could include the pilotage, which is used to navigate the difficult parts in and around some of the islands of the Danish peninsula and archipelago. Well, they could introduce a ban on the provision of such services that transport oil. We'd be able to prohibit the actual passage of the tankers themselves, and that could cause even more problems. Another potential scenario is the ban could be tied to concerns about the impact on the environment. Denmark has already stated that it's concerned that all tankers carrying Russian oil pose a potential threat to the environment of the region. Denmark's argument is seriously flawed. Firstly, the shadow fleet, as it's called, it's not actually Russian. It's conventionally called that, but the tankers are owned by international companies based everywhere. Secondly, these companies didn't find them in roadside dumpsters or on a scrap heap somewhere. They bought them from other major oil carriers. These ships were part of the international fleet, transporting oil from various sources, including the United States and Saudi Arabia. I mean, they have continued to transport oil products, are they not being repurchased by entities close to Russia? I mean, the average age of the vessels in the so-called shadow fleet is not that different from those of the rest of the international fleet. So it can't be said that Russia's using a bunch of old vessels that are in poor condition that leave behind oil slicks and pollutions. I mean, the average age of the current main global fleet as a whole was at 13.7 years. That was of the report of December 2023. I mean, this is the highest level in almost 15 years. I mean, this is despite political pressure from the West for its ship owners to order more new environmentally friendly ships. I mean, the average age of tankers carrying oil and other liquids like petroleum is a 20-year high of 12.9 years. I mean, the average age of container ships is 14.3, which is the highest level in 30 years. I mean, it's evident there's a prevailing trend in the maritime shipping market, and that is not a singular issue that's affecting just tankers transporting oil or sanctioned oil. I mean, Yushkov knows that. There is no evidence that Russia's carrying oil in old tankers and they're polluting the waters. We've then not had any evidence that could appeal to the international courts to do this, but it's not appealed to any of them, and there's no evidence out there to substantiate this claim. I mean, let's look at it logically. Russia exports more than 5 million barrels of oil and petroleum products every day. And the oil is transported by such an oil fleet. So where are the traces of the oil spills? Where's the pollution? I mean, if Denmark tries to introduce a ban on ships of a certain age in the form of sanctions, it'll create problems for other market players, as old tankers will hit Poland, Finland, and all the Baltic countries. And the Polish port of Gdansk, for example, older tankers will start arriving than those that are using transporting Russian oil. I mean, it's worth noting that the United States is unlikely to support this, and they'll support Russia in the market. Should Denmark seem to impose a complete ban on oil exports from the Russian Baltic ports, the United States will be certainly telling them they better get out of the game. I mean, the presidential campaign in the United States, as I mentioned, is in full swing, and the United States is going to take any action it can to prevent oil prices from rising. I mean, if the Danish restrictions are introduced in Europe, causing a reduction in oil exports from Russia, which will lead to an increase in oil prices in the market, the knock-on effect on fuel prices is enormous, and that will become very expensive. That said, that will have a negative impact on Biden's electoral prospects. So even if Denmark decides it doesn't want to do it, it's certainly not going to do it until after the presidential campaign in the United States is over in November. I mean, the cessation of Russian oil supplies from the Baltic ports of Ust-Luga and Primorsk would have a significant impact on the global oil market. I mean, if the Baltic route is closed, it's unlikely that Russia will be able to transfer the entire volume to other export destinations such as Novosibirsk or in particular the Far East. I mean, the Baltic Sea accounts for about 1/3 of all its sea shipments of oil and petroleum products. I mean, the Eastern Siberia Pacific Ocean Pipeline, the ESPO, and the port of Kuzmino, the Far East are currently operating at above their current designated capacity, and the pipeline particularly experiencing serious congestion. It needs another one built soon. Now, it may be possible to pipe some of those to Novosibirsk on the Black Sea, but that port is also working at almost maximum level. Plus, you've got the Bosphorus, so you cut out the Baltic, then you're going to reduce exports and production in Russia. That'll have a knock-on effect in the global oil market, and prices will rise as a result. I mean, the more you look at it, the more it seems that this is unlikely that this scenario is likely to occur. I mean, Denmark has actually said that it's not going to block, and it's just, I think it's just an attempt to irritate Russia and force it to try and buy a new fleet or renew the current one it's got, and, whatever. I mean, the sanctions war and the recovery in demand in China have fueled interest in tankers. I mean, both used and the new models are in demand. I mean, let's look at logically. Prices for both used and new tankers have reached a 15-year high. In the combination of high demand and a low order book, particularly for VLCC, which are very large crude carrier supertankers, create a strong market for used vessels with prices above their original build cost. I mean, the price of a VLCC supertanker has increased by as much as 60% over the last 5 years, from about 69 million to 110 million the first quarter of 2024. At the same time, shipbuilders are struggling to cope with the influx of new orders for oil tankers. I mean, plants are still filled with orders for container ships and LNG tankers, and there's a shortage of all types of new vessels being built. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me fund the channel and the website SCOBRICSinsight.com by clicking on the thanks button at the bottom of the screen. I'll see you all again soon, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you.